we're moving into this bottom outside Ashi position, and so keep the leg a little straighter. Yeah, good. So a person who is good from Rob's perspective here, what he should not be doing is bending the leg this way. That's just gonna give me a read, guys, okay? So what he wants to do is he wants to keep the foot pretty flat, and he wants to point the knee out. This does two things, okay? First of all, if the foot is flat, keep the foot flat. If the foot is flat on the floor, the space that I would want my arm to move into to catch a heel hook is not available to me because obviously it's on the floor, right? That's pretty obvious, right? If he turns this way, that space I can now move into with my arm, okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing is he keeps this locked into place, the foot on the floor, by turning the knee out. That blocks my ability to make contact with the back of his knee. If his knee's pointed this way, even if the foot is flat, right? So the foot is flat here, but the knee's turned this way, it's gonna be a lot easier for me to make contact with the back of the knee, and therefore I can push the knee forward to the far hip Ashi and then expose the heel. Okay, so this is like a fundamental, heel exposure concept when you're dealing with a bottom player and a top player. If the guy on bottom is capable of putting pressure to the back of the guy's knee, okay, that's one of the things he needs to be able to push the knee forward and take the foot off the floor and then open up this space that he can fill with his arm to gain heel exposure, okay? So what Rob wants to do here, it's honestly really easy. He just puts his foot flat and points to the knee out, okay? Now it's going to be harder for me, so if he keeps this position here, he keeps this here, it's gonna be harder for me to just reap. This is actually really hard to do. I'm not hitting the back of his knee, I'm hitting the side of his knee, which is not what I want, okay? So what we're gonna have to do is, we're gonna have to use Kazushi or off balancing in order to open things up. So he's pointing this way, I'm just gonna take him further that way. So keep a good base here, so don't fall down to your knee here. So what I'm gonna do is, I get my hips up very high, my knees are gonna point out, and I'm gonna stumble him that way. You usually get two reactions to this, one of two reactions. He's either gonna step back like he just did, or sometimes they'll drop to their knee. Yeah, both can happen, of course. We're just gonna deal with when he is stepping back, okay? So my hips are very high. If your hips are low, this doesn't work. Keep a sturdy base here. This doesn't do anything, okay? You have to have your hips very high, so lock your legs the way I talked about. Pointer finger and thumb finger are very far. Thumb is on the inside of your thigh. Don't have it out here. It has to be on the inside of your thigh with your elbow pretty much close to his ankle, okay? That's gonna keep your hips high. When your hips are high, you're gonna be able to actually hit the knee pretty well, the inside of the knee. Now I'm gonna turn my knees out, okay? I get him stumbling. When he gets stumbling, okay, he's gonna step back the other way, then we can start turning back into the reap, okay? So we're getting him going in one direction with off balancing to then get him going in the other direction. Okay? If I start just trying to reap and keep the foot flat, if I just try to start reaping here, I'm lowering my legs for no reason. He's gonna start pushing my legs down. Yeah, and then you could even like you could stack me here and get put into compromising situations. Okay, so instead we start with a strong off balance. Yeah, he's moving that way. If his knee was pointed this way, for instance, I'll point it this way and keep a sturdy base, I couldn't do this off balance. But I also wouldn't need to, right? So he points the knee out, we bump him that way, and now to keep his base, he's gonna overcompensate and you take him back this way and you go into a reap. When we go into this reap, guys, let's just turn this way. So guys, when we go into this reap, a few details on the far hip Ashi reap here, okay? The first thing I wanna do when I get here is I wanna take my right leg, the bottom leg, and take it as far as I can, okay? So I'll do this sometimes with open legs. You can do it with locked legs too, but I've been experimenting a lot with open legs recently, where my left leg back heels hard, my right leg extends, because that takes my knee line farther away from his knee. If I bring my right leg close to his knee, it's a shorter distance for his knee to move to get out of my knee line. You guys know what a knee line is, right? Mm-hmm. So you see my knees here, that's the knee line. He wants to get out of that, okay? So I'm gonna extend my right leg and like essentially back heel with my left leg. That takes the knee line farther away from his knee. At the same time, when I catch, I'll start with just a false grip or like a football grip where my palm is facing towards my chin. What this does is, okay, so you've got a wristwatch grip. This is usually how we're gonna configure our wrist to finish him. But we start with this because initially, to prevent heel slipping, what I want to do is bring my elbow as close to his hips as possible. I find it's easier to do that when my palm faces towards my own chest than this way. Okay, you can do it both ways. I just find it's easier when it's like this. Okay, so I catch a football grip so I can bring my elbow close to his hips. Okay, my right leg is extending, left leg is curling, and the final detail is I bring my chest and upper body back, so my spine is relatively straight. What I want to prevent is him sitting on top of my thigh like this. Yeah, this is what I want to prevent. What this does is, and stay right here, this is good. This is perfect, stay right here. What this does is it bunches up my hips so I can't start turning my knees down. In a far hip Ashi, just like in a backside 50-50, the main way I'm gonna get to the finish is by forcing him to roll into another position. So in this case, you're trying to get him to roll to an outside Ashi, okay? I can't get him to roll unless, so I'll move back a little bit this way. If I can turn my knees down, now I can force the roll, right? So do you guys remember Ryan Hall versus BJ Penn? Mm-hmm. Okay, so what BJ did in that match was not the wrong defense per se, it was just too late. Because if the guy's legs in a far hip Ashi or a backside 50-50, if the knees are facing out like this, you could still backstep, right? So if Rob were to backstep here, even if I have heel exposure, this is a good defense. That's a really, really good defense, okay? Especially if he starts by sitting on me. Because now I can't turn my knees down, right? So let's come back a step. Let's say my legs are locked here, he sits on top of my thigh. How can I turn my knees down? I'm all bunched up, right? But if he's extended, look how easy that is. I have the space to move my hips, okay? But obviously he's not gonna like give that to me, right? What I can do to give myself that space, okay, is I curl here, I extend here. And another thing I like to do, guys, I'll hold the top of the thigh with this hand here, right? So I'll hold here and I'll extend my spine. Now when he goes to sit on me, so like this, he goes to sit on me, it's a harder thing to do. It's not impossible. If I wait here all day, he still can. So let's go back. It's not impossible. So now when he goes to start, I'm gonna start turning my knees down. When my knees go down, then I'm gonna lock my legs. I'll lock my legs at the ankles here, okay? I don't like to lock a deep triangle here because that brings my knee closer to his knee, making it, again, it's easier for his knee to get out of my knee line. Does this make sense, guys? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Okay, good. Let's start from the beginning again. So I'm here. And another thing you could do to make this off balance stronger, guys, is you could put this hand on the floor too, okay? But I never feel like I need to be honest, but it can make it stronger. So you're here, you bump him out, he's backstepping. You go into a reap. I extend this leg curls. You catch the heel with your left arm, your right hand catches here. Get your elbow, the elbow of your left arm driving in towards his hips. You don't want it like this is not good. There's gonna be a lot of heel slipping there. Okay, you want this, my elbow coming towards his hips, okay? Then, take all these steps and do them slowly so we get them all right. I'm gonna extend my spine. Okay, now here, it should be difficult for him to sit on me, meaning I can start to move my, come back one step. I'll do this slow without the heel. Meaning I can start to move my hips to face down towards the floor. And you see how, guys, here my legs are open, but when my hips turn down to the floor, I lock my legs at my ankle. Okay, when we roll, a common mistake is this. Try to avoid bringing your elbow out like this. Because then when I roll, it's just very awkward. Keep your elbow here. So that's another advantage of grabbing the top of the thigh here. See how it keeps my forearm straight? I can roll very easily over it. So don't do anything like this, okay? Either connect your hands and tuck your elbow, or my preference is to start here, okay? And then when we start rolling, I'll lock my legs, and then when I'm belly down, that's when I'll connect my hands, okay? So let's do that one more time. We have a good bottom outside Ashi, but he's defending correctly, okay? I'm gonna bump him to the outside, like so. You might have to do this a few times before you feel like you have enough off balancing to get what you want. But now this time, bang, I can get it, shoot that leg, catch the heel right away. Don't worry about, okay guys, don't worry too much about where the heel is on your arm. It can be like almost anywhere. As long as you're driving the elbow in towards his hips, that's the important part. And you're pulling the thumb towards your chin, okay? This is what you want to focus on, okay? So you're here, my right leg is extending, my left leg is back heeling. My spine is straight, relatively straight, and I'm catching the top of his thigh. Now, I start to rotate to bring my chest down and my hips down. From here, I go on my forehead. Then I catch my hand and lock my legs. Keep rolling, Rob. Keep rolling. And then we throw our legs to the outside. We're gonna finish in an outside Ashi. Okay, guys? Does this make sense? All right, let's give this a try. 1, 2, 3.